Hi, Miss Simmons. My name is Leanna, and we're going to do some vision testing today. Does that sound like something you'd like to do? Okay, so the first thing we're going to test for is for acuity. So to begin, I want you to read to me the first line of text on this paper.
Map of scraps, quick visual function screen.
Good job. Okay, so now I want you to look over onto that table and tell me what the title of that movie is.
Harry Potter.
Good. Okay, so sometimes when you have problems with acuity, it's difficult for you to read things that are close to you or far away from you. You can also have trouble recognizing items whenever you're looking around, and you could squint or blink. I noticed whenever you were reading the text that was closer to you, it was causing you to squint your eyes, so that's another thing that can show that you might have a problem with acuity. So first of all, I would refer you to an optometrist, but if you came back for treatment, then we could do some activities where I place pictures of items on a wall that's close to you and then on a wall that's farther away, and then have you look at them and be able to identify them. So the next thing that we're going to look at is your pupils and their reaction to light. So the room is pretty dim right now, but I'm going to use this flashlight to shine in your eye and to look at how your pupils react to the light. Okay, so if you could focus on the window in the distance behind me, and I'm going to first shine this in your left eye. Okay. Okay, and then now we'll do the other eye. Okay, and so whenever you shine the light into your eyes, and the pupils usually constrict to help you adjust to your environment. So whenever this isn't really working, you could have some blurred vision or even double vision, or have some light sensitivity or even pain. So this could be a problem for you. It could increase your risk of falls if you can't properly accommodate to your environment. So I would also refer you to an optometrist to get that checked out, since doesn't seem to be working correctly. And then for treatment, then for an activity, we could have you wear some sunglasses or eye protection like that, and practice changing different environments that have different lighting sources to make sure that you can be functionally mobile. So the next thing that we're going to look at is to see if you have double vision. So when you look at me, do you see two of me or one of me?
Two.
You see two. Okay. So this is obviously a problem whenever you're out in your environment, if you are seeing double vision instead of just one picture. So so for an activity for you, since you're having double vision, we could set up some items, like maybe some makeup items in front of you, and have you practice reaching for the items and gathering them for you to use. So this will look to see if you are like overshooting or undershooting the objects because you're seeing two of them. So the next thing that we're going to look at is your field of vision. So I'm going to use this blue pen, and I'm going to have you cover one eye, and then I'm going to move the pin, and I want you to tell me when you first see the pin. Okay? So go ahead and cover your eye and tell me when you see it.
No.
Okay.
No. No. No.
Okay. And then we'll try the other eye.
No. 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 No.
Okay, so whenever you have some difficulty with your field of vision, it can cause you to miss objects or bump into things if your peripheral vision isn't correct. So We can also tell from this if you have any visual field cuts or visual inattention. So something that we would do in treatment to address this is perhaps like a driving simulator for you to test your peripheral vision. So you're having a little bit of difficulty telling me when the pin or where the pin when you could see it. So if we did a driving simulator, then it would allow you to be like you're driving, and you would have computer screens next to you that have different objects pop up to simulate how it would be when you're driving. And so we could look at your peripheral vision that way. The next thing that we're going to look at are saccades, which are quick eye movements. So I'm going to have my 2 different pins here, and whenever I say the color of the pin, I want you to look at it, but make sure that you're keeping your head still and just using your eyes. Okay, blue, pink, blue, pink, blue. Okay, so, and it was difficult for you to keep your head still when you were looking at the objects. So this can cause problems whenever you're trying to read. The extra head movements could create some dizziness and stuff like that. So it might be especially difficult for you if you're in a busy environment and you're trying to locate objects. So as a treatment, I could have you come in here and we could look at some different newspapers and magazines that have a lot of story titles all over the cover, and you could practice looking back and forth to see which articles that you would want to read, because sometimes if you have problems with this, it can make reading difficult. So the next thing that we're going to look at is convergence. So I'm going to hold this object in front of you. I'm going to bring it towards your nose. I want you to focus on the object and tell me when it becomes blurry or when you start to see 2 of them. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes when you have difficulty with this, you would have trouble reading, or headaches, blurred vision, or difficulty focusing on the objects. So I know that you like to sew, but it's difficult for you whenever you're trying to focus, to thread your needle, which can be difficult. So for a treatment activity, we would practice doing some sewing with you so that you can practice focusing on the needle and the thread without getting that double vision. So the next thing that we need to look at is your range of motion of your eyes. So I'm going to use this pin. I want you to follow it with your eyes, but try to keep your head still, okay? Okay, so for that it was difficult again for you to keep your head still. So whenever you have problems like that with range of motion, it can be difficult to read. You might have some problems with depth perception or seeing where objects are. You might, when you're reaching for something, overshoot or undershoot for an object. So as a treatment activity, I would have you practice unloading the dishwasher in our simulated ADL kitchen, and have you take them out and place them on a shelf, which could be affected if you have poor range of motion. You might have a decreased depth perception. So the next thing that we're going to look at is accommodation, which is your ability to focus on objects whenever you're looking at them at just different distances. So I'm going to hold this pin here in front of you, and then this pin a little bit farther, and I want you to shift from the blue pin to the right pin, to the pink pin whenever I tell you, okay? So blue, pink, blue, pink, blue, pink. Okay, and was it difficult for you to focus on the pins whenever you were shifting? Yeah, so that can be a problem. I could tell you're having a little bit of trouble focusing. You might have some like blurred vision, or it might cause you to blink a lot, but this can be difficult. When you're reading, it can cause some problems. So as an activity, we could go to the grocery store and I would have you reading off of your grocery list. And so you would read the grocery list and then look on the shelf for the item. And we would look at that to see if maybe we could get some of that ability to focus back easier for you. The next thing that we're going to look at is pursuits. So I'm going to have you follow my pink pin, but again I want you to keep your head still and just use your eyes. Yep, so normally I would just remind you to keep your head still and just move your eyes. You are having some trouble there. This can cause difficulties when you're trying to read, or it can also contribute to some balance problems. So as a treatment activity, I would play balloon toss with you. So just a fun activity for you to do where you really need to use your eyes to follow the balloon so that you can participate. The next thing that we're going to test is spatial relations. So whenever we do this test, like I already did the crosses, I want you to take this pen and I want you to draw the crosses on your paper exactly as I did. Okay, so on here you didn't quite get them in the exact places and you missed a couple of crosses. So whenever you have problems with spatial relations, it can cause problems whenever you are in your environment and trying to locate things or trying to put things in certain places. And if you're traveling or going somewhere, it can be hard to figure out where you are or how to get back. You can also have difficulties dressing. So as a treatment, I would have you practice putting on different shirts. So you would have to distinguish between armholes and neck holes and figuring out how to do buttons. The last thing that we're going to look at is your mobility and how well you can see while you're being mobile. So I'm going to have you stand up here, and then I want you to walk towards the kitchen, and I want you to point out the fish tank. Okay, and then what about the chair to your right? Good, okay. So whenever you have problems with mobility that are caused by your vision, you can have difficulty when you're changing environments that have different terrains, and you might have to feel around to see where you're going. So there are some problems if you're not seeing clearly while you're walking or anything like that. So a treatment activity that I would have you do next time you come, we could go outside and you can practice walking around, changing terrains from grass to cement, and then inside from carpet to tile. Just really address some of those vision problems while you're trying to be functionally mobile. So that's all the vision tests we have for you today, but I hope you enjoy doing them.